Good morning team, how are we all? I hope you're all well, I hope you're having a nice day so far. So yeah, as you've probably seen by the heading of this video, I have been unwell. Unfortunately, we actually tested positive for COVID like 2 weeks ago, which is shit, but it is what it is. We're now out of isolation, which is fucking fantastic. I actually went back to the gym 2 days ago for a leg session. Today we have our upper body session. Now, I wasn't actually going to document this because I thought, who cares about me being unwell and things like that, but what I'm going to try and do throughout this video is just like try and give you an insight to how I think when I am unwell. It's something that comes up a lot in regards to if my clients are not well, or they ask things like, Ben, should I train? Or Ben, I did go train but I felt worse, and how should I train now that I feel better? Should I still train hard? Should I train to failure, etc, etc? So it's one thing I'm going to try and cover throughout this video is how I have recovered and how I've focused on my recovery, and then how I'm going to focus on getting myself back into training, because obviously you do not want to go back into training, hit it hard as you possibly can, and then end up feeling fucked again. So today we have an upper body session. It's the same session as I recorded in regards to my last video. If you've not already seen it, then go check it out. I'm not going to explain in regards to as much detail as I did in the last one, but as I say, this video is going to be focused on my approach to getting better. So just a quick update, we went from £212 to £206, which is obviously not ideal. This morning I was 208, which is a little bit better. I'm just trying to focus on getting food in and building that energy back up. So yeah, we have a full upper body session as I spoke to you about there, and I'm going to take you through on that, and hopefully this video can help you guys in regards to how you should approach training, and hopefully none of you do get on well, but there's going to be a point that you probably do. So yeah, I'm going to take you through that and just my approach to getting better and how to approach training so you don't end up making yourself feel worse. So that is us here at the Flexion for our upper session, and that's one thing, by the way. Like, I stay in Lanark, which is like a half-an-hour drive to the gym here in Whitburn, and no matter, right, honestly, like, I do a pee the second before I leave the house. The second I get in my car, turn my car on, instantly burst on a piss. It's a fucking joke. I don't know, obviously it's just due to me drinking too much water, but it's fucking annoying. So right now I'm bursting on a pee, so I'm going to try and hurry this up. But yeah, just in regards to my plans for the session, Jesus, I'm currently drinking a pre-workout, just a non-stim one. As I say, this session's not going to be all guns blazing. So yeah, so my plans for this session is not to kill myself, obviously, alright? Like, I have not trained in like 2 weeks, 2 weeks time roughly. Obviously I trained my lower body the other day, but even at that it was not a hard session. The last thing you want to do is ruin your CNS, your central nervous system, alright? So your body's not used to training right now, so the last thing you want to go in and do is go in, bury yourself, and then end up in a hole again, alright? My energy levels still are not that good. They are fine for normal day life, like going a walk and normal shit, but when you go to train, you're like, fuck, this does not feel ideal. But we're going to slowly build it up, alright? That's going to come with time. That's going to come with your body adapting to a new stimulus, which is going to be training. So the goal today is just a devolume session, alright? I'm not too sure how long this devolume is going to last, if it's going to last another 2 sessions, 3 sessions, or might be fine as of today. So yeah, the goal is just one back off set of everything. Obviously I have my back off set numbers. Back off set is just my slightly lighter set for a higher rep range. The reason we're doing that is that, just as I say, is obviously if you're working between like a 6 to 10 rep range, it's going to be a heavier load, therefore more load and more chance of you absolutely burying yourself. So we're working with a lighter load today for a higher rep range with no 50-50 reps. Now that's important, alright? As you've seen, we always train to failure, muscular failure, alright? We don't want to do that today, alright? We are taking no 50-50 reps. So a 50-50 rep basically means if I'm doing a single arm lat pull down and I'm pulling down and that's like my second last rep, and I'm thinking, is there a chance I might not get this rep? If that's in my head, I'm not going to go for it, alright? So yeah, this training session might not be the most motivational. You might not see big crazy numbers. A lot of this, in fact, I think every single thing is machine work. There's not a lot of free weight work in this, so I'm just going to put like some music over it, just some work on the tripod. I'm just obviously training myself. So yeah, just enjoy this upper body session, and I shall catch you after the gym. So that's like another thing that you should probably focus on, like when you're doing a devolume session or if you're returning back to training. Something that you can try your best to do is like reset any movements that do not feel good. So say for instance you were doing a leg press or any movement, it doesn't have to be a leg press, but any single movement that you feel like you could have improved your execution, use this time, because you're pulling the weight down, use this time to obviously nail your execution, and then give yourself a baseline in regards to, right, my execution was fucking perfect here. There is no reason why that should never get worse when you start to progress your weights back up. So it's something that I'm really going to focus on doing this session and these next few sessions, is perfecting my execution, which I always try and do anyway, and then progressing from there. Yes team, how are we? I hope we're all well. So I was actually planning on doing like a little edit here in regards to putting some music in that over it, but when I was watching the clips are not, it's not that exciting, to be fair. The reason it's not exciting is, as I say, is I'm not training that hard. So I thought I would try and add some value in regards to this session by doing what I never said, because I did say I was going to not explain it, but now I'm going to explain it in even more detail. So I was going to do a quick voiceover of each exercise, alright? So what we can see in this first movement here is a single arm cable row, alright? Focused on the lat. So I'm just going to try and give some exercise cues throughout this. So one thing I focus on doing is I like having the bench here. It just lets you stabilise and lets me like hug into it. Alright, so the first point I want you to think about is keeping your chest upright, pinching your shoulder down, and then dragging your elbow straight down into your hip. Alright, that's important. So the lat, when we're working a lat, we want to pull from like vertical, so high into the hip. Alright, I don't want you thinking about pulling back and letting your shoulder round forward. Alright, so really focus on pulling down, not back. Also, in the contraction, you'll see that I always like to pause in the bottom. I think this is massive in regards to stopping momentum and really focusing on that contraction. This second movement here is a machine shoulder press. This is actually a new machine shoulder press in flex that I haven't actually used. So this is my first time using it. Obviously, it was a back offset, not going too hard. But one thing with any sort of machine shoulder press or machine press is you want to learn how to stack your joints, alright? I actually did an Instagram post this for any of you who don't follow me on Instagram. It's Ben Fitness Fitness, and I'm just trying to be a little bit more informative on there as well. So with this, you will see that I try and keep my wrist and elbow joints in line with the way the machine moves, alright? So you can see that this machine travels straight down, so I want to make sure that my wrist and elbow joints are under that machine in regards to staying under it and not rotating back. You don't want to create any like rotation of the shoulders. It's going to add pressure on your shoulder joint. You want to try and keep tension on your delts, alright? Also, when I am contracting, I'm focusing on keeping my chest up and driving my elbows in towards each other, and again that helps obviously contract your delts and upper chest. The exact same for this machine, so high incline machine press. This is a hammer strength. You will see here, you can actually see it better here, you will see that my elbows and my wrist joints travel the exact same direction of the handles, so you want that to follow that movement pattern throughout. Always making sure that we're controlling the eccentric, and again keeping your chest nice and high and driving your elbows across your chest. To let your elbow travel across your chest will lead to contracting your pec, alright? With your next, we have a Pec Deck, forgot the name of it there. So again, here my cues are keeping your chest elevated always, alright? And focus on driving your elbows in towards each other, not your hands, alright? So you'll see that, yes, obviously your hands are going to travel forward, but to contract your chest, you want your elbows to travel across your chest inwards. Obviously, we don't also want to round forward of the shoulder. You see a lot of people going far too heavy, leaning forward, rounding in the shoulders, etc, etc. So always just try and keep that chest upright. And again, you'll see that most movements, I always like to get a good pause in the contraction. One, to stop any momentum, and two, just to control that weight. Here we have a single arm lateral machine, or it's done on a machine. You can see, well, I think you'll be able to see when I do my left hand here, is that you can see that I'm using a D handle. What a D handle does is let us rotate more at the wrist joint, and also lets us let us take more pressure off the wrist joint by having a D handle further up your forearm, closer to your shoulder joint in regards to your delt. So on this, it works a hell of a lot better doing a single arm than it does bilateral. And again, my cues here are think about pulling away from the midline of your body, alright? So don't think about pulling up, because that's going to end up making you shrug, but pull from your side of your hip out as far away from the midline of your body as possible, pausing the contraction and always thinking about working that side delt. Here we also have a relatively new movement, nice facial expressions here as well, in regards to a chest supported T-bar row. Now the whole point of a chest supported T-bar row is that you actually use the support to support your chest, alright? You see too many people coming up and arching their back and like doing back extensions. We're not trying to do back extensions. We can see that this movement here is more for upper back, so I'm focusing on pulling through my elbows, yes, keeping my chest up a little bit, but really pausing that contraction again so that I can actually think about contracting my back. I know that's one thing that's more difficult to do, is to contract your back just due to not being able to see it. So think about pulling through the elbows, keeping that chest nice and high, not trying to shrug up using the traps, but more so for your mid back. I also like spending time in the stretch position here as well, as it just feels really, really nice on my back. Next we have some arms to finish. So we have a D handle cable curl. Again, the D handles are going to let you rotate at the wrist joint, letting them move in a more natural way, and again it just helps me create more, just lets me contract my bicep a lot better. Also, you cannot see, but on this movement, when I do hit the bottom, the machine will hit out and I can't get a fully lengthened position of my bicep. So what I actually do is I actually stand on 2 plates just to let myself have more range of motion on my bicep, which is extremely important in training your arms, or any training to be fair. The exact same for triceps. So we have a D handle tricep push down. Again, the whole point of D handles is just to take pressure off your joint and let them move in a more natural way. Again, you'll see that I keep my elbows in a fixed position. We do not need your elbows to travel forward and backwards, as that's only going to work your back. So keeping them in a fixed position, again letting your forearm travel all the way up to stretch your tricep, and then keeping that chest up, pulling your arms down into your pockets or your hands down into your pockets to contract that tricep. So yeah, there's a quick voice over. I hope that was helpful in regards to giving you some exercise cues, and enjoy the rest of the video. So that is our upper session done. That was surprisingly way better than what I thought it was going to be. After my leg session on Thursday, how that went in regards to energy levels was horrendous. Like, I felt really not well. But this session, like, I felt like I had more to give. Obviously I was not going to give that because, as I say, no 50-50 reps and stuff, but for my mind, knowing that I could give more goes to show that the recovery work and the food and sleep, etc, is all paying off as we're starting to slowly build back up energy and things like that, which is obviously important. So I will see what AJ wants me to do in 2 days time. I've got a rest day tomorrow, then it's legs, so I'll see what he wants me to do in regards to volume. But I'm going to head home for my post-workout meal, and then I'm going to give you guys like an update in regards to what I've done over the past 2 weeks to help recovery and build back up energy and stuff. So yeah, all good news. We're back, man. What's happening, team? So it's actually a few days after since I last recorded this video, like 4 days or something. I just had a lot of stuff to do, but anyway, I wanted to end this video just with a little bit of information in regards to what you should do when you are actually unwell. Obviously I spent the first half of this video, or the last part of this video, in regards to telling you what you should do in regards to returning to training. But when you are unwell, or when you are taking time away from the gym, you need to think, what can I do now that's going to help me recover quicker to get me back in the gym quicker? Alright, now I do think going to the gym when you are not 100% is detrimental. I think you're just going to end up fucking yourself and end up in a hole, which is not what you want. So spend time away from the gym, spend time on your recovery, alright? So doing things like sleeping more, and one thing I always say to my clients and I say to myself is, right, you're unwell, what can you still control? Alright, so don't get pissed off at the fact that, oh, fucking hell, I can't train, I can't do this, I can't do that. That's out of your control. There's no point stressing about that because it's going to do fuck all for you, alright? So let's focus on, can you control your food? If you're obviously really sick, then no. If you can, cool, let's still get your food in. There's no reason why you cannot get your nutritional food in, alright? Water intake, let's make sure you're hydrated. Steps, can you still do your steps? If you're too unwell, then that's fine. If you're starting to feel better, then let's try and go out a little bit. One, for obviously steps, keeping your expenditure up, whilst obviously getting daylight in. Again, it's going to help with your recovery, your circadian rhythm, and again, just feeling better in general health, alright? Also, spending more time sleeping, alright? Now, it's something that I don't actually do often, is nap. I always feel guilty for napping. I know you probably shouldn't, because napping is good because you recover, but spending more time napping napping, try to get to bed a little bit earlier, letting your body sleep a little bit longer, will all add up to these little marginal gains on getting you better. So that should be your goal. Your goal should then switch from getting into the gym to then thinking, cool, what do I do now to get me better? Alright, so yeah, that's just a few tips that I would really focus on doing in regards to if you are unwell, because as I say, the goal is to get back in the gym. Alright, so I know this video's been a little bit different. I wasn't, as I said earlier, I wasn't actually planning on talking about not being unwell or not being well, and being unwell is what I'm trying to say, but it does happen, alright, and I just wanted to share a little bit of information in regards to what I would discuss with my clients and what I try and do myself to get me better. So if any of you are unwell or you've got COVID, which fucking loads of people right now do, then just try and take these tips on board in regards to getting yourself better, and then get back in the gym. As I say, once you are back in the gym, taking your time getting back into it. As I said to you just before this clip here, it's now been like 4 or 5 days since I have been in that session you've seen me in. Training volume is back up to normal, fullness is returning, body weight's creeping back up, appetite's back up, taste is now back, which is all good. So that makes me always think, right, cool, the recovery work you've done now has been worth it. Alright, so anyway, I know it's been a little bit of a different video. I hope it was informative enough in regards to it can help you in the future, or help you any of your clients or anybody you know who's unwell. But yeah, just again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel as well. Alright, and I will see you next week for next video.